This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Wednesday, March 4th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, big wins on the campaign trail for former Vice President Joe Biden as he captures a solid majority of the Super Tuesday states, bringing his campaign back and making him a frontrunner for the Democratic nomination, along with socialist Senator Bernie Sanders. And what about Sanders' enormous spending plans costing trillions upon trillions of dollars? They may be helping him with some voters, but hurting him with others. We're going to take a look at the amazing amounts of money Sanders is promising to spend and what impact they would have on the economy. Today, the Supreme Court hears a major case on Louisiana law regulating abortion clinics. We're going to take a look at the case and how it might even change the Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion. And making 2020 the year of the Bible, we're going to hear about the push for this to be a year to honor God's word. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We're going to begin this half hour with Joe Biden's big wins in the Super Tuesday primaries, taking 9 of the 14 states, including Texas, giving him momentum and catapulting him into frontrunner status for the Democratic presidential nomination. Biden celebrated in Los Angeles last night, proclaiming he has a liberal agenda.
People are talking about a revolution. We started a movement. We've increased turnout. The turnout's turned out for us. That can deliver us to a moment where we can do extraordinary things. Look, our agenda is bold, it's progressive, it's a vision where health care is affordable and available to everybody in America. Where we bring drug prices down under control with no more surprise billing. Access to hospitals in rural areas as well as urban areas. Access to care. A bold vision. We invest billions of dollars to find, and I promise you, cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes.
But socialist Senator Bernie Sanders also did well in 4 states and remains in a tight race for delegates with Biden. And former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg did not win any state despite spending more than $500 million on campaign ads. He may be reassessing his campaign, but he is still talking about victory.
But tonight, I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination. And we are going to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country.
I know we can do it, and you know who else knows it? Donald Trump.
But it may be the end of the line for Bloomberg and Senator Elizabeth Warren, while Sanders still has some strong states coming up. So it may well be a 2-man race between Biden and Sanders the rest of the way, and raising the possibility neither one will win enough delegates before the Democratic convention, which could lead to a brokered convention. I want to turn now to those devastating tornadoes in Tennessee. The number of deaths has now risen to 24. Terrifying 165-mile-an-hour winds slammed central Tennessee in the middle of the night Tuesday, killing some people as they slept. Emergency workers tried to clear debris from streets as rescuers searched for dozens of people who are still unaccounted for. Snapped power lines left thousands without power as multiple tornadoes roared through the state, leaving a devastating path of destruction across Nashville. Homes, businesses, schools, and churches totally destroyed. Survivors sharing stories of survival.
The windows had been blown out, the doors had been blown open, and our neighbor had been ejected from his back house apartment back there into our yard.
I mean, we've been through lots of tornado warnings and never thought that this would happen. It's just shock. It's like a war zone.
Forecasters are predicting more bad weather for the region, and President Donald Trump is expected to visit the area Friday. A state of emergency was declared in Tennessee after those tornadoes hit, and President Trump is planning to visit, as we said, the state this week. CBN's Tom Buring has this look at how people there are working on recovery after these deadly storms.
Tennessee residents used daylight to take inventory of how their lives had changed. Just hours earlier, shortly after midnight, an ambush of destruction forced them to take cover, sheltering from an EF3 tornado.
You need to come look at the sky. It was bright lime green. I've never seen, it was lime green.
Taylor Nelson and her husband took cover just in time.
We were running into our kitchen to go down our basement steps. As we were running down our basement steps, my ears started popping and our roof took off.
Just down the block, in the same neighborhood, Chris Folsom shared a similar experience.
The sound, that they described, the train, the roaring, and it's coming hard and fast. I ran downstairs into the basement. As soon as I got in the door, the roof ripped off.
The long-track tornado skipped through parts of Nashville, where at least 45 buildings suffered severe damage. Take a look at this, wood javelined through the brick wall. This is Germantown. It is not north of Nashville. This is Germantown in the northern district of downtown.
You heard this groaning force that was shaking the building. You could hear windows bursting all around. It was very obvious that Mother Nature had arrived with a vengeance.
Numerous Nashville-based relief agencies like Hope Force responded quickly to evaluate needs of the displaced.
It's just unbelievable everywhere I look. Whole houses, front walls, gone, and people hurting.
At Donaldson Christian Academy, the elementary school wing was destroyed. School officials gathered to survey structural damage and consider their off-site options to continue classes when students return from their spring break. Where does your faith tether you now?
Yeah. Well, it's the heart of who we are as a community. And I think really, what we're taught is in difficult times, in adverse times, right, that partly it's our faith that carries us through. And so I want people praying for our students. I want people praying for our faculty and our staff.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee has declared a state of emergency. And later this week, President Trump plans a visit to the state. For CBN from Nashville, I'm Tom Buehring.
Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn is in Washington, but she told CBN News Tuesday her heart is back in Nashville with people there.
We are just devastated. 19 individuals at this point we know have lost their life. So that impact is something that is going to be felt. There are many injuries, so we do not even have numbers.
Senator Blackburn is also among the many people watching what some call the biggest abortion case facing the U.S. Supreme Court in decades. Justices will hear arguments today about a Louisiana law that would require abortion doctors to have admitting privileges at area hospitals. Blackburn and 206 other members of Congress has asked the court to uphold that law. Paul Strand has more now from Capitol Hill.
The Supreme Court consistently rules states can't put an undue burden on women getting an abortion. Pro-choice opponents of the Louisiana law argue that's exactly what it does.
It is a nonsensical statement. You want physicians and healthcare providers to have to meet a given standard, and they do this in every area except when it comes to abortions and women's health. They're saying, no, 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 no.
It's very important that we hold those abortion doctors up to the same standard as every other doctor.
Abortion providers say it's not really necessary for their doctors to have admitting privileges at a local hospital because there just aren't that many emergencies involving abortions.
This is not about the frequency of times that women have to go to the emergency room. It's about safety and protection of women if and when that does occur.
Let's make certain that a process is in place so that these women have all the information that they need, and doctors have admitting privileges just in case something goes wrong.
Thomas insists the records of Louisiana's clinics show they need higher standards and more regulation.
All 3 abortion clinics in Louisiana have numerous violations, chronic violations, year after year.
Pro-choice types worry if the court starts cracking down on abortionists, it could crack open the door to wiping out Roe v. Wade and legal abortion. Blackburn would love that.
They're saying Roe v. Wade is the holy grail. Don't disturb Roe v. Wade. And we're saying let's protect women and their unborn children.
Blackburn says she and her colleagues will be waiting anxiously to see how the court rules on this important case. Paul Strand, CBN News, the Supreme Court.
Thank you. I want to turn now overseas to the Middle East. Iran has nearly tripled its stockpile of enriched uranium since November, a violation of its deal with world powers. That is according to the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency. The report also raised new questions about other Iranian nuclear activities. The agency made the statement in a confidential report to member countries seen by the Associated Press. The agency asked for access to 2 of Iranian locations but was denied. The current stockpile puts Iran within reach of the amount of uranium it needs to build a nuclear weapon, although it insists it doesn't want to. Asia Bibi, the Pakistani Christian mother who spent more than 9 years in prison on charges of committing blasphemy, has made her first public appearance since being freed last year. Bibi recently talked to reporters in Paris after meeting with French President Macron. Macron's government reportedly offered Bibi religious asylum in France. She and her family have been living in Canada since she was acquitted and allowed to leave Pakistan in May of 2019. Bibi told online French Catholic news service Alatea she prayed daily and read the Bible regularly during her imprisonment. She says her suffering was a trial sent by God. She explained that Psalm 91 encouraged her during most of her incarceration. The Lord is your refuge. Although radical Muslims still threaten her life, Bibi says she hopes someday to return to Pakistan. She says she'd like people to work together to end the country's blasphemy laws. Her goal now, Bibi wants her daughters to be well educated and for them to fight for equality. And she says her greatest joy has been bowing down to the greatness of God. Coming up, even though Bernie Sanders faced some setbacks in yesterday's Super Tuesday primaries, he's still one of the frontrunners for the Democratic nomination. But he's also facing scrutiny for his enormous spending plans. We're going to take a look at just how expensive those proposals are when we come back.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torresadillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices and watch God transform a generation.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Despite setbacks on Super Tuesday, Bernie Sanders is still a prime competitor for the Democratic presidential nomination. One thing that may have hurt with many voters, his big spending plans on massive new government programs if he is elected president. on everything from Medicare for all to the Green New Deal and much more. And those plans do add up to trillions of dollars, trillions and trillions of dollars. Gary Lane brings us this look at Bernie's budget, busting bills.
At the top of the Sanders list, Medicare for all, with a price tag estimated at $34 trillion or more over 10 years. Not billions, literally trillions. Then there's Sanders' support of the Green New Deal, the plan to move America away from fossil fuels at a cost of more than $16 trillion over a decade. Not all Democrats are on board with his ideas.
I do not support Medicare for all.
But I profoundly disagree with his solution.
Sanders says Medicare for all will save the country money in the long run, but he acknowledges it will be expensive.
I can't rattle off to you every nickel and every dime, but we have accounted for it. You talked about Medicare for all. We have options out there that will pay for it.
And there's a lot to pay for. Sanders has several other proposals, too. In addition to Medicare for all and the Green New Deal, Sanders has a guaranteed housing plan he says will cost $2.5 trillion over 10 years. He'll spend $2.2 trillion to make college free and cancel all student debt. $1.5 trillion on universal child care and pre-kindergarten, plus $1.2 trillion for K-12 educational spending and higher salaries for public school teachers, and $1 trillion for infrastructure. Add it all up, and it comes to around $60 trillion in new spending. That would double the size of the government. Critics other than his opponents, such as conservative economist Stephen Moore, question whether some of Sanders' new spending programs, like Medicare for All, would actually work for the people they're supposed to help.
Medicare is running out of money. The worst thing you can do for seniors is then put millions and millions and potentially tens of millions more people on Medicare, because the whole system is going to collapse. And this is one of the reasons that polls show the two groups that are most opposed to Medicare for all are, number one, senior citizens who depend on Medicare, and number two, union members who already have very good private health care plans but would lose them under Medicare for all. Remember, under Medicare for all, it's not if you like your health care plan, you get to keep it. This is, we don't care if you like your health care plan. We're moving you into a new system, and that's what makes Americans very nervous.
One thing basically everyone agrees on: Sanders will need to raise and even create taxes to pay for them. And he has a long list of new taxes, from increasing the payroll tax paid by employees and businesses by 80%, repealing President Trump's tax cuts, a wealth tax, raising capital gains taxes on investments, plus cutting military spending, and far more. Moore says that would be bad for the country.
I think it's do severe damage to the U.S. economy to add all of this spending, all of these new regulations, and then tax rates that would go up to 50, 60, in some cases 70%. We haven't had tax rates like that since the Jimmy Carter years.
And economists on both sides of the political aisle argue that Sanders' new taxes would not even come close to paying for all his policies.
The math doesn't add up. If you take all the taxes, and there are many taxes under Bernie Sanders' plan, and you try to match them up with the cost of the spending, it still doesn't pay for it.
That means on top of all of his new extremely costly government programs, the Sanders plan would dramatically increase America's exploding $23 trillion national debt.
You could potentially see over the next 10 years a doubling or even tripling of the national debt.
Sanders' enormous spending plans haven't gotten much public attention yet, but that's likely to change as he wins more and more delegates in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Still ahead, a look at a new movie out this week starring Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie. It's bringing an untold true story to the big screen, how two men changed financial history during the age of segregation. We're going to have a look at The Banker when we come back.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5.
Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone. I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Welcome back. Two well-known actors, Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie, are teaming up to bring an untold true story to the big screen. The Banker hits theaters Friday, and the actors play two men who changed financial history in the age of segregation. I traveled to Sam Jackson's home state, Tennessee, for the world premiere and talked to the man himself.
Owning a bank is like owning the other side of the real estate business.
There's a few complexities you just left out.
Like what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not wake up black this morning? Because I'm pretty sure I did. Yep, still black.
Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie bringing the real-life story of Joe Morris and Bernard Garrett to the big screen. And Studio 5 is here in Memphis, Tennessee to bring you your first look at the film The Banker. And there's no better place to begin this story than right here at the National Civil Rights Museum and the Lorraine Motel, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated back in 1968.
It's time that someone shine a bright light in order for things to change.
You starting to buy real estate in white-only neighborhoods?
Keep one eye open. Think about all the good we can do for the community.
Taking it to the man.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
In theaters Friday, set in the segregated 1950s and 60s, the men hire a white man to pose as the head of their company, while posing as a janitor and a chauffeur and actually running the business. Though largely unknown, this story certainly deserved its place in the pages of national civil rights history. In many ways, it led to the Housing Act of 1968, which made it illegal to refuse to sell property based on religion, race, or gender.
You want me to what?
Be us to the rest of the world.
We can't set foot in the bank unless we the help. Should have took limo driver when you had the chance.
I don't know anything about banking. I don't know how to buy a bank.
We'll teach you everything you need to know.
You gotta learn how to talk to rich white folks like you one of them.
And you can't fake a golf game. Make me proud, son.
When we meet your character, he's already pretty successful. What is it that's driving him inside to want to do this?
Well, he has a sense of race pride. I mean, he knows what that is. I mean, he's that guy that, people kind of look at. They look at him as, okay, he's just, nightclub owner. He's a womanizer. He's maybe an alcoholic. He doesn't present himself as a pillar of the community, but, behind the scenes, he's doing a lot more than people understand. And we'll have much more from the cast of The Banker on Studio 5 in the coming weeks when the film begins streaming on Apple TV. Also this week on Studio 5, we sit down with two real-life contractors who actually have a recording contract. They're known as the Singing Contractors, and we'll bring you a behind-the-scenes look at Ben Affleck's new film, The Way Back, and chat with the cast and crew as well. We have all that on Studio 5. It begins tonight at 9:30 Eastern. You can find it on the CBN News Channel. Coming a look at the worldwide campaign to make 2020 the year of the Bible. We're going to tell you who is working on this project and an upcoming public tribute to the Bible, the biggest ever, when we come back.
It's the
new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
From Washington, D.C., uncompromising stories, interviews, and analysis from veteran journalists David Brody.
Escalating fight.
Jenna Browder.
Chose his words carefully.
Ben Kennedy.
Plan to join him.
And Amber Strong.
For impeachment grows a little bit louder.
Bringing you the political news that matters.
We get out and tell the story of the progress that we're making in this country.
Watch Faith Nation, weeknights at 6 on the CBN News Channel.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
As the nations rage, you can stand with Israel.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
Call 1-800-700-7000 and get to life.
This is our nature as a country.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is, this is what I'm doing.
Support Israel in their time of need. Get to Life, now available on DVD. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
And I wish that other people throughout the world could see this side of Israel.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
The global campaign to make 2020 the year of the Bible is underway. Some 400 church leaders and pastors will meet at the Museum of the Bible in Washington today. It is all part of an initiative to increase engagement with the Bible around the world. The Year of the Bible is partnering with the American Bible Society, the Bible Project, and other groups to let God's Word speak. The move comes ahead of a major gathering at Lincoln Memorial on June 20th, which will be the largest public tribute to the Bible in history. It is time now for your Wednesday Word. Speaking of the Bible, and today's word is relationship. Know this, Jesus came not only to deliver salvation, but also to restore us to a relationship with our Heavenly Father. With that word, I encourage you to make today a wonderful Wednesday and be sure to have a great rest of the week. You are equipped to do just that. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can also find them anytime online at cbnnews.com. We would love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. Feel free to email us. The address is right there on the bottom of your screen. It's newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you, and we certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time. Again, I encourage you to make today a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.